Okay.
All right, John,
Good
go
morning,
ahead.
everyone. This is Wednesday, November 5th, 2014. Universal Mind Radio, in conjunction with Wolf Spirit Radio, would like to present to you 1 hour of Earth Mind Meditation by Frank Jordan. Frank is accompanied this morning by the Earth Mind Healers Group. They have been working with him for many years. The focus of intent for today's show is to use Frank's subtle energy techniques to release and ease the stress of Mother Earth from land, sea, climate, and man-made changes around the world. Frank is from Boise, Idaho, and has been an empathic intuitive for many years. He is also in direct contact with galactic beings who are guiding Earth's transition into the fourth and fifth dimensions. Stephen is a separate higher consciousness of Frank that delivers information about the shift of consciousness to us. Stephen, through Frank, focuses frequencies of unconditional love into the world group mind that helps people do the necessary subtle energy clearing and DNA assemblage for ascension into dominion. Frank is also an active water, mineral, and missing persons dowser and healer. On our Sunday evening show, 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, Frank teaches the universal laws of physics, which is metaphysics. A discussion is held by Frank where Stephen talks about subjects of interest to members of the audience. During the second hour, Stephen tunes directly into the listening audience, where healing requests are made, guides the healings, and often gives insightful information about their situation. For further information on Frank Jordan, please visit his website at Psytronics.com. That is www.psytronics.com. Psytronics.com. You are also invited to set up a one-on-one appointment with Frank by calling 208-344-9188. And, of course, his email address is fljordan@cableone.net. Through his website, Frank has several novels listed, dowsing tools, and his subtle energy lights. And then the much sought after Clearing the Way instruction book. Donations are always appreciated and can be made through the website of Wolf Spirit Radio, Psytronics, and, of course, universalmindradio.com. And please enjoy our show this morning. Frank?
Good morning, everyone, and welcome everyone who can and participate with us this morning. Because certainly the more intent we can pull together in our group mind consciousness in the morphogenic field of the World Healers Group and the more extended Wolf Spirit Radio and the connections that they have around the world. We have a very wide range of opportunity to have an effect on world consciousness. And it isn't as though just a few thousand or 100,000 of us are shifting the world consciousness. It's instantaneously because it's a process. The world has to, each individual in the world has to make the choices at any given moment that would elect to move into dominion or to be carried and driven by the forces of domination that would hold them in form and hold them down from evolving. And that's the importance, the primary importance of this radio program, is to give everyone out there awareness that in this moment of now, we make right choice or we make wrong choice, choosing between domination or dominion. And every time we make right choice, it affects everything around us, raising everything to a little higher vibration in the group mind consciousness of your locality, of your family, and ultimately to the world group mind consciousness. And this is what's necessary, because we've already learned by bitter experience that we simply cannot face the domination forces, the Illuminati, the banking cartels, and the domination factor that allows 5% of the world's population to own 95% of the resources. They own the control of the finances and the jobs, and have created a system to where we can't be self-sufficient. At least most of us can't, because we're tied to jobs and the system. So to shift that perception, that reality of domination, everyone has to make the choice to move into dominion, being that aspect of consciousness where we all support each other laterally. We become community. We move out of that pyramid of domination to where all energy is shared equally and according to necessity or requirements. And this is how community works. Community where we all nurture, respect, and take care of the rights of each other. We release the territorialism and the necessity of borders, the necessity of armies to control the borders. We don't have to have police departments because by right choice, as the consciousness raises, no one is going to do anything that would harm anyone else. This is where the true spiritual law comes into being. Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. And once that's recognized and the feeling of domination is eliminated from our consciousness, at that time our frequency level raises above the heart into the high self. And the high self is that aspect of higher consciousness that connects directly into oversoul and the extended realms of consciousness that is the God Force creative system. And it frees us up from the survival consciousness of low self, our animal patterning and programming that has dominated our growth of consciousness for thousands, hundreds of thousands of years, literally now since we were created. And it's time now we, through right choice, make the choices that will lift us upward constantly in frequency. And we have a request today from Yvonne in New Zealand that we lift the consciousness of humankind above 400 on the Hawkins scale. And I think that's a wonderful idea. This gives us something to shoot for, a point of awareness that can pull us together so we can concentrate on a goal. And right now, the general consciousness is only around 200, which is still in the domination realms. We are learning. The world consciousness is growing and shifting. And we're going through a dramatic shift in the last couple of years by moving out of the 26,000 year cycle and the Mayan cycle into the next 26,000 years. Literally, it's the opportunity to move from domination into dominion. And that transition is a learning process. We must all individually internalize and acknowledge what is right choice. And right choice of instead of reaching outside of yourself for your spiritual resources and for guidance from organized religions and governments and tradition of the past, we look to the future. We create, we organize, we think, we use our thought processes, which really rise from the subtle energy field of the galactic consciousness. We listen to those subtle promptings of right choice that allow us to move steadily upward in our frequency ranges. And it is said that we only need about 3% of the world population to create the 100th monkey syndrome, where people will spontaneously begin to generate thoughts through the power of group mind consciousness. So our intent in this broadcast, and every one we do, is to work directly with earth mind, because earth is a living consciousness also. And all of nature is a living consciousness. Anything having DNA is in resonance with all of life in an incredible field of dominion where everything supports everything else. And even though there are apparent dominators in the form of predators out there, they are just another aspect of life. And so the predators must do their thing to control overpopulation and the balance of nature, even as the food supplies do the same thing in nurturing the animals that live on the base resources of Earth and in the oceans also. It's all an incredible cycle of life. And we are a part of that. Each individual human being is a cell in the body of the God force on Earth. One cell having individual choice, recognition, but the intelligence to recognize where we are being dominators or acting in dominion. In domination, we take more than our needs of the resources, so we deplete the resources. We concentrate the resources in the hands and power of a very few who can dominate with it, and so restrict life and the frequencies, the raising the frequencies of consciousness. Because when the consciousness is allowed to rise, we simply are not going to tolerate or participate in the structure of the organization, the creation of the domination system that holds us in form and limits our growth in reality. We could do it in an instant today if everyone simply says, I'm not going to play the game anymore. I'm not going to go work for that paycheck at the end of the month, because whatever I have in resources, I can share with others in return for my needs. So life will be sustained and go on. And we will very rapidly create the system to distribute resources, even manufactured things, by participating together in communal manufacturing and creation. We can still have everything we have now and even more. There's no limitation to what we have, but everyone who works in the factory will own that factory. And they will receive credits in some form that they can use as a media of exchange that others can in turn internalize and use and utilize for what their needs are. So it's an ongoing process. It's a process that we are beginning to recognize. For example, in southern Africa, there are colonies forming now called Ubuntu. These were created by Michael Tellinger, observing the tribal societies and how in their localized capacity to care for each other, they are communities. And by recognizing and teaching the needs of community and the relying on your own resources, your own abundance, and sharing that laterally, communities can be very successful and live in peace and harmony and balance. So with that said, we look at the world today and what do we need to do? What can we do? What's our opportunity to work directly with the Devic force of consciousness that is Earth Mind? And to do this, the first realization we have to have and internalize is that we are living bioorganisms, biocomputers. Our DNA and the levels of the chakra system, the frequency ranges of consciousness that we can access laterally through our psychic center. We can communicate with anything, anywhere, any species, any life form, no matter what it is. There is a vibraport within our systems that is in resonance with everything out there. Now, it may not be activated, and that's part of what we do in our work with recreating the 12 strands of DNA within our systems. Most of those capacities have been muted in us, and they were done to keep us ignorant of our power and our capacity to share with everything. But we're re-simulating those DNA because they are in the etheric form in every cell, and the physical aspects of every strand is there. It's just scattered. It's called junk DNA. But when we have a need, when we have a choice, when we make the request by extending ourselves upwards in consciousness through the system into oversoul, then an energy response comes back to us from the God force that helps us to regenerate that DNA to the etheric form that's already there. It is never lost, and with that assemblage comes new awareness, new gifts and abilities, new capacity to manifest and create things. And so when we do that in the perception and understanding of dominion, that is what creates and attracts to us through the laws of attraction the abundance that we need or require in order for everyone's needs to be met. And so it's quite simple. It's a simple process of stepping back within yourself, accessing the deep subconscious mind, and releasing the mental control that we've been programmed to rely upon. The requirement is simply to learn how to move backwards and step into your own subtle energy system, which is connected with everything out there, and work in conjunction with the desire and will and intent of others to create thought forms. Everything literally in existence is a thought form. And enough energy and empowerment has been put into the physical aspects of consciousness millions of years ago that it initiated the process of evolution. And evolution is nothing more than the growth and awareness of consciousness and the DNA potentials within us, and reaching out through the subtle energy fields from that subconscious level to other forms of consciousness and working in cooperation with them to create and manifest and grow. And that's what evolution is. And Earth works directly with us in that process. Earth is Earth mind. Earth has a chakra system just like we do, and every other living thing does. Earth has a spirit. Earth has a guiding principle, and the guiding principle created Earth to be the platform we walk upon, and all the astrological focuses and of our solar system are directly influence our everyday thought, activity, manifestation of what helps to hold the form of our reality. It's a very unique system we operate in, that nothing ever operates totally on its own. We must rely on everything else to give agreement to what we create, what we want to manifest. And with that agreement and understanding and dominion, we become the attractive form of through the 0 point of manifesting in the standing waves everything we require or ask for, or everything we want to participate in and experience as life. And this is what gives us, humans particularly, the full enjoyment life, is the opportunity to make and have free choice to experience all things possible in this level of God Force consciousness. Now, with that said, let's drop back and look at Earth mind. And we'll do this by going into the meditation state, because once you go into that extended state of consciousness, you're in full resonance with the forces that hold everything in form. So close your eyes. We always access the subconscious through this path. And with your eyes closed and with your awareness around you, you're working out of the mental body, the frontal lobes, which is assimilating all the information that comes in through your vibroports and is delivered to the brain to give you a moment of now, a physical reality. That's our mental level of consciousness. But if you just take one step back from that, just let that mental analyzer and controller go for a moment and step back just a little behind the frontal lobes of the brain, and you open up the sudden awareness of yourself. Now what you're feeling is yourself. This is your I am, your indwelling soul. The soul is really the controller of everything, operating through the high self, the upper chakras of the body. The soul is the one that came into this lifetime to experience all things possible in this opportunity for life and growth and evolution of soul consciousness. So feel your soul, realizing that soul is part of a much larger field of consciousness. So extend your awareness outward from the soul to all other souls. And you feel this field open up. And this is where choices are made by group mind consciousness in the physical that manages and creates our reality. And this is exactly where we have to work in order to create the fourth dimension. It's here that we reach back and remember who we were in other incarnations, in other planets, and other systems, and we pull forward and internalize the potentials, the understanding of dominion, and how to utilize dominion to be the manifestors and creators of all life on earth. The unique thing about soul also is that you're part of a soul family, a soul group that came in from another planetary system to experience life on earth. And as such, the soul flow has divided into many, many separate incarnations around the world. So we have a soul family. They've been called soul twins, soul mates, and things of that nature. But they have a common goal, a common understanding, and every experience of everyone, no matter where they are around the world, their experience all contributes back to the basic soul family. And there can be thousands of soul twins, so to speak, experiencing life at the same time. But the beauty and advantage of this is that as these souls grow in awareness, they bring information back into us when we ask for it. The intuitive information that we can apply on an individual basis. So when we need to have the answer to questions, this is the first place to go to, is your soul family, to pull in the intelligence, the guidance of what is already informed and what has been informed in the past through your soul lives and reincarnations. So now take another step further back, realizing that the indwelling soul is what directs all the activities in your system, the higher intelligence activities of the high self, as opposed to the automatic instinctive choices of the low self and the soul below the heart. Take another step back now to the psychic center. And this is where, rather than the group consciousness, we can tune in specifically to individuals. So with your intent on the psychic center, reach out and touch someone you know at a distance now. And it's just like visualizing that you're with them. At first, just looking into their eyes through clairvoyance, and then shifting internally in that person, looking out of their eyes, and you can recognize what activities they're participating in to the degree that you can feel what they're feeling in their system as you open up to their inner consciousness. Now, that person is also a member of your soul family, because we tend to travel in family groups. So you have a commonality. That's why generally you reach to your family for support and information, and this is how you do it. All right. Now come back into your own awareness. Now take another step back. And in this step, you feel yourself expand. Allow yourself to expand that point of consciousness that you are, to expand through feeling down through your chakra system, to the base of the brain first, and down through the throat, down to the heart center. Now just stop and feel this. This is your high self, your intelligent self, that actually makes the choices of your reality, how you create and interact in your reality. But the subconscious mind also has access to all the information from all levels of the system, and its responsibility is to sort the information out and for what you are requiring at the moment to make a choice or a decision or take an action or whatever you're experiencing. And that is done through the reticular at the base of the brain. That's the sorting system that sends information up into your brain, into the hologram of reality through the various aspects of the brain that hold everything in form, to ultimately deliver to your desktop, your frontal lobes, the cerebral cortex, where you can reasonably make choices or have the experience of life. And remembering that it's all just energy. It's all simply energy fields. What we perceive as life and physicality around us is actually a creation of our brains holding this wonderful hologram of consciousness in form. Now drop your awareness down, just down the spine again, through the subconscious, remembering that you are where your point of attention is, and that's what you're working with and attracting and delivering to the brain consciously, is from the various levels of the chakra system that are just like the files and folders in your hard disk. Your body is the hard disk. Everything you ever experienced is held in patterns, in form, as experiences, resonances you can pick up and draw information from. But this is the high self. Now, go to the 0 point of the heart. The 0 point is that bit of consciousness where the God force indwells. There's a spark of light there that is holding the form of your oversoul, your high self, and your undersoul, your low self. The low self holds all the information of the past, and that information resonates through need into the 0 point where choice in that moment that the standing wave collapses It's reformed with energy that's coming from the past, either lifting up from earth mind where everything is stored, or from lateral fields of consciousness. Now just feel for a moment the 0 point. The realization that this is where you change your reality is in the 0 point. The past, the energy is coming from the standing waves of the past that are stored in earth mind and in the standing waves of your now reality. Without a choice, a selection of opportunities, potentials that past just resonates on into the next standing waves of the future that move out straight ahead of you. And that creates your reality and holds the form of the reality. This is the aspect of the Devic force of consciousness where we recognize that the devas simply hold the form, hold the form, hold the form. And they respond to whatever requirement is necessary in our evolutionary process of life or the experience of life. So we can work to the 0 point not only through choices with our high self reality, but with the low self reality also. And through that, the extended earth mind, the lower chakras, we can work with the past by actually picking up out of the past patterns and programs that are coming through that may not necessarily be beneficial in this moment of now or in our future. So we have the opportunity to go into the past and alter things and clear things out of our biocomputer disk or from earth mind that are affecting us negatively now. And this is what the clearing the way process is all about, is understanding how that works and how to create your reality by clearing old patterns and forms so you're not subjective to the old realities or to the influence of someone else. Now drop your awareness on down a deeper level into the low self. And there's 3 primary levels there. The solar plexus is the level that deals with our everyday reality out here. And it has, on the Hawkins index, a level of about 150. And as we rise above the 0 point in the heart, with our center of consciousness, our frequency range, then we move up over into the 200s and on up higher all the way up to 1,000, up through and into Oversoul, where we become enlightened masters. But right now we're looking at the fact that we're just simply pretty intelligent animals that are creating our world in domination. And the realization that you're not very evolved is an important factor of helping to stimulate your desire to be more, to learn and understand how things work and where you are in this range of consciousness. Because down in the root chakra, at the base of the spine, you're in the very most primitive level of consciousness, down to about 70 on the scale. And that scale is simply totally survival oriented. But when we're focused on survival and the energies it throws up to the 0 point, if that's our focus, reality is survival, then we don't attract through the 0 point and from higher standing waves and potential frequencies, we don't attract what we need to raise our frequencies and lift ourselves up that Hawkins scale into the higher realms of intelligence and consciousness. So I like to tell my students and friends that in order to not be driven by the low self requirements for survival, we need to keep our attention focused in the high self, because we are where our point of attention is. When we're making right choice and thinking positive thoughts, working creatively and moving forward, we're in our high self. We're drawing on all of our resources to manifest and bring things into form. When we're just riding along with life and being driven by life and by habituated responses, then the low self takes over, and it holds you in those patterns of low frequency, of survival choices. And so I like to tell people that in order to become consciously aware of keeping your high self up and to program yourself to be more attentive to where your thoughts are, I tell people to raise their eyebrows. If you have your eyebrows raised, then your whole point of attention is up there in the soul center and higher. And that becomes your point of attraction and your awareness of what's going on. And you'll notice when you're doing that, you don't have any sexual thoughts. You don't have any need to eat excess food. You don't have any need to be lazy or in avoidance or use any of the hundreds of negative character and principle traits that are inherent to all humans. So lift your eyebrows and feel the difference. Now drop your point of attention from your eyebrows back down to your sex chakra. Do you feel how you just implode? It's just like everything pulls in and you're focused on yourself instead of being in that expanded consciousness of a higher state. So keep your eyebrows up. Now, the reason we're going through this morning is that there's not much to be done or required out in the world of the weather or the earthquakes, the earthquake grid. So we're just taking this opportunity to practice and experiment with our psychic system. And learn how to use that and to work with our subconscious intuitive system. So to do that now, take your awareness back down the spine, the base root chakra, then down into earth. And it's not like because we're taking our intent down from high self to do active, creative things. It isn't like we're becoming subjective to low self. We're going down with intent, high self intent, to experience the physical world. Now from that point, just reach out and feel earth mind. But you're doing it with conscious awareness. And that's what keeps you in the high self. And this is the reason we talk so much about obtaining clarity. When we have clarity in the chakra system, deprogramming the negativity it's inherent to us, that we just seem to assimilate to live in survival. Each level becomes blocks to this clarity that allows you to move up and down with your personal power to express and do things. But we're taking our point of awareness down into earth mind now and extending our awareness out to the earthquake grid by just moving our point of attention to Southern California. Now, in Earth Mind, you feel along the San Andreas Fault and laterally eastward in the subduction zone of that region, energy from the earthquakes that's building up in the earthquake faults. And right now, that energy is pretty flat, but it doesn't matter because feeling the stress of the energy building up, we can actually reach into the future and feel the energy since there's no time or space. Now lift that energy up your spine, through the 0 point, through the crown chakra, through oversoul, into the ionosphere, around the earth where we've created what we call the golden grid of energy. It's a protective shield around the earth. Protecting it from solar flares and electromagnetic bursts, and it has even been shown to deflect the M-class flares when they do come by carrying those energies around to the golden grid and out the other side in the solar winds. We can also alter and deflect incoming things such as meteors. When they hit our golden grid, they immediately disintegrate or burn up and don't come on in to cause destruction. Now, because there's not much requirement, we won't spend any time today in the earthquake grid other than to extend our awareness around it, particularly through the Yellowstone, the Rocky Mountains, the Northwest. Just extend your awareness through these areas, all the way up to Alaska, over to Russia, down to Japan, the Philippines, New Guinea, the islands, New Zealand, and across to South America, back up to Central America, and then laterally around the earth on that belt that's primarily in the range of just north of the equator. Now just feel Earth, the earth mind of the earthquakes, and lift those energies upward. Just extend them outward into the golden shield. And you feel take your hands and hold them about 8 inches apart, because we have the galactic flow working with us now, and you'll feel a tingling sensation in your hands, and the polarity, the female polarity on the left, negative, male positive on the right. And move your hands back and forth, build an energy field, visualize the globe, the earth, the planet, and feel in your hands what we're creating around the earth now, that tingling sensation of a force of energy that's extending outward around the earth in the golden grid as our protective field. And we will have to sustain. Now bring your awareness back up into the mid-range of consciousness above the heart. Actually in the solar plexus below the heart. This is the realm of consciousness where we deal with all other humans. This is the realm we want to raise the frequency in order to lift the consciousness of all humans. So take our awareness into that now, recognizing that is about 160 on the Hawkins scale in the solar plexus, and that's high. That's the highest intelligence of humans at that point. Now our desire is to pull energy from the golden grid through the galactic center, reaching out through your third eye to the photon belt, pulling in energy there, Just take a moment, feel the photon energy pour into your system. Empowering our will, our soul intent, empowering the galactic flow, which is simply the totality of unconditional love that holds all life. We extend this out through that group mind consciousness of the solar plexus level of all humans as they exist now, and we energize all humans, raise their frequency range up to the heart and above the heart. In doing this, we pass through the 0 point. What we're carrying through the 0 point is all humans, adding the frequency of higher intelligence, higher awareness, the capacity to think and make choices in dominion. And we empower that with unconditional love from the galactic flow. Feel the energy in your hands intensifying, the energy in your forehead from the photon belt intensifying. As with desire and will and intent are unified, desire, will, and intent, we lift human consciousness. We shift human consciousness from the dependency on survival, low self energies and consciousness. We lift them into the higher levels of the high self, empowering them with love from the heart chakra and on up through the frequency ranges of relationships, on up to the throat chakra of self-worth and all human communication, on up into the soul center, where spiritual energy can blend with the consciousness we're creating, and on up through the crown chakra into oversoul, where we bring down a flow of higher human awareness and consciousness. All being blended together in the high self now, empowered by the galactic flow, which is sending us the experience of previous civilizations, stimulating our soul memories that has been in those civilizations previously, where we matured and grew into higher consciousness. And within the soul, the soul center of the group mind consciousness of the world now, we bring back the memory of dominion, of community, how to be co-creators, how to utilize our intelligence to care for and nurture all living things. And in doing so, we reach out to all the animals, the sentient species on Earth that are aware of their existence, and they open up channels of communications so that all humans understand the nature of animals, of our pets and of our domestic animals and the wildlife. And we extend our love to them and empowerment and appreciation of them. And we release their fear of us so we can learn to communicate primarily opening in humans the channels of awareness through the chakra system, through the vibraports that resonate with animals, from the low self animal consciousness, opening those portals so that we understand animals better and realize that they are simply an extension, a life form that has the same DNA that we do. We're all one beneath the form and the flesh. And we extend this on out into the devics, the devas of all plants and other living species on the earth, no matter what they are. Open the awareness that humans are the nurturers, the caretakers of all life on earth in dominion. And feel the frequency range of all humans lifting with this awareness, shifting their consciousness from domination of the animals, from the solar plexus up through the 0 point, into up the ranges of the heart chakra, where we love and empower and nurture all animals, and they respond to that. And they respond to the requirements of nature, where some life forms and species depend on the other species for nourishment. But the realization is it's all part of a whole. And as long as we give them an opportunity to continue life in a better level than in the group mind of the species, they're better cared for, nurtured, and have better lives than they would otherwise for the totality as long as they live. Now feel a return flow coming back from all of nature, coming back to your heart centers, opening up through your systems. This is the desire to be cared for and nurtured so all life can respond by giving love and nurturing and support to humans, to human life in balance and harmony. Now we will this to sustain, opening human awareness to their oneness with all things and their God-given responsibility to always make choices in dominion, including all the species of life, all the potentials of life. And so it is. Now lift your awareness back up into your own situations. Look around you and see how you can better become the nurturers and the caretakers of life. Even in the care of a few plants that give back to you by expressing oxygen into your homes. And to your pets, for your nourishment and support and protection. They give back love, unconditional love and companionship in that oneness of nature that we all are. To the power of the Christ within us, we use the power and abundance of nature to heal ourselves, to heal our situations, no matter what the imbalance is. We pull on this support, abundant energy, and direct it to whatever our needs are now in our lives, in our social interactions, particularly those with business and government agencies. And we focus all of our energy and attention on Mike right now to support him in his travails with the government agencies and with his healing. Fresh, and so it is. I begin to come back now, back up into your will center, your soul center, having a greater understanding of who you are and how you function, and step back out forward into the frontal lobes with the intent of how to make your lives better and how through your choices to make life better for everyone and everything else in your reality. Now, Rachel, can you give us a tone, a unifying tone?
Okay. Hanyanayane haleoneriamma hanyehanemo yare hanane honyere mariana magumane hale honye honemo yane hanane honyariane mua yale ho iha
and so through the language of light, so it is. All right, Gary, I think we're complete for the day.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
that was a great show.
Exciting.
Very good show, everybody.
Thank you.
Come back on Saturday for another show at on Universal Mind Radio and Wolf Spirit
We do
Radio.
have a show scheduled Saturday morning at 9 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. We will deal again with the earth energy. And Frank, I have a question for you. I've been looking at your website. What are your dowsing tools? How can your dowsing oracle help us with our everyday meditation?
Well, the dowsing tools are a way of communicating with your subconscious mind, and they're simply tools. And we refine them to where they're incredibly sensitive, and yes and no answers can be 95% or higher obtained through the use of these tools, or for, in the case of the dowsing rods, locating things incredibly successfully.
Well, you do have a nice article explaining this on your website at www.cytronics.com if anyone is interested. Frank, thank you again for a wonderful, wonderful show.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you, everyone.